middle school, high school. Okay, cool. I'll start again. The title of this session is Building a Better Future by Becoming a Middle School and High School Teacher. So this is more like a general overview, more like anticipating what to expect as you're transitioning from the community college to the university and eventually to your teaching credential program, what it means or what are the steps to prepare yourself to get in this type of career. So in the chat, many of you are sharing with us what inspired you to become a teacher or an educator. So just holding on to that really motivates you and encourages you because with any career, you'll have some challenges, you have some hard classes, but when you remember why you're doing this, that allows you to keep going. So I just want to start off with some basic definitions. The bachelor's degree, which is what you'll eventually complete when you transfer over to a university, which is a 4-year or maybe 5-year undergraduate degree completed at a university like Cal State's, a UC, or those private institution. You either get a bachelor's of art or a bachelor's of science, and then a post-baccalaureate degree. It's done right after you complete your bachelor's degree. So a post-baccalaureate degree is basically a short-term certification done in a few semesters. And this is where the teaching credential programs fall in place. So if you want to become a teacher and you already have a bachelor's degree, you're going to pursue the teaching credential program that's known as the post-baccalaureate degree. After that, you have the graduate programs like your master's degrees or your doctoral or PhD degrees and so forth. So there's an order of them. Currently, a lot of you are pursuing the first half of your bachelor's degree, which is done at the community college. Eventually, you'll transfer into the university of your choice and continue the rest of the courses to complete your bachelor's degree of arts or science, depending on the major you're pursuing. So first step is undergrad, which is what you're doing currently at the community college and eventually when you transfer over to officially complete your bachelor's degree. So in order to transfer to CSULB, the first step is to meet the basic minimum requirements to transfer over. So in order to be a teacher, again, you have to have a bachelor's degree in anything. There's no specific like major. Most students, if they already know the subject they wish to teach, then they pursue that specific subject, meet those requirements, get your bachelor's degree, and then your teaching credential. So for a lot of you, as you're planning to transfer over for CSULB, you just have to meet this basic transfer requirements, having your 60 transferable units or semester units, having the overall GPA higher than 2.0, and by major, it may vary even by the current pool of students applying that current year. So usually the average I've heard about and seen is usually like a 3.2, 3.3 GPA average for a lot of the majors here in Long Beach. Be in good standing at the community college you're transferring over to us or any other schools you've attended before going to the university. And then complete all the GE requirements, C or better, especially in your golden 4, which is writing, oral communication, critical thinking, and mathematics. So just keeping that in mind, this is applicable to any kind of major here at CSULB. There are major specific requirements. So see your journey at the community college as a way of preparing yourself for the rest of your coursework at CSULB. So there are major specific requirements for transfer students. And then there's another group of students that could satisfy this, but through their ADT. So a lot of the majors offer the ADT, maybe some do, some don't. Some majors that don't offer an official associate degree to transfer, you just have to meet the major specific requirements for that major you're pursuing. But if it offers the ADT, a lot of students pursue that as well. So these requirements basically are showing the university you have taken the courses in the major you're planning to transfer into. So now you're ready to take the next step and take the upper division courses. So usually the courses you're taking at Rio Hondo are similar courses that the students here at CSULB are taking their freshman and sophomore year. So by the time you transfer to us, you're already a junior or even a senior, depending on the amount of courses you're transferring with as well here. So each major has specific courses that they check just to make sure have they taken this specific course that prepares them for psychology major, for the history major, for the biology major, or for the liberal studies major. So there are those specific courses. And of course, as you meet with your counselors at Rio Hondo, they'll be able to make sure that you're meeting those requirements. Some important reminders, especially for those who are currently going through the application process. Since October 1st, so a few weeks ago, the CSU application has opened. You have until November 30th to submit your application to us. Each CSU, if someone extends their deadline, it really varies by the institution. Usually Long Beach, they keep it at November 30th most of the time. So just make sure you submit everything by the application. For those pursuing to start the fall semester, make sure you have all your coursework completed by the spring term. So for those starting fall 2023, make sure you have everything completed by spring 2023, not summer, but spring 2023. And if those are applying to start spring semester, you need to have everything done by the previous summer, which in this situation, those starting spring 2023 at Long Beach, they need to have everything done by summer 2022. And for CSULB, you also are required to submit a supplemental application, which is they email you, the institution will email you and will let you know that you have a few weeks just to, I was going to point here. You have a few weeks for either the spring admission or fall admission to submit that application. They email you the link or show you where to do it on your My CSULB. And then from there is basically updating the institution about the courses you will be taking in the spring and then the grades you've gotten for the fall courses. So again, for those planning to apply, make sure you have submit your application to CSU Apply by November 30th. Also remember to apply for financial aid, the FAFSA or the DACA, and then include the institutions you are applying to so that those institutions such as CSULB could let you know of your financial aid packet. So in order to be a middle school or high school teacher in general, you could pursue any bachelor's degree that you will like. For example, I have my bachelor's degree in psychology and human development here through Cal State Long Beach. And at some point I was considering going through the single subject credential and getting my credential in English to teach English, since I already was experienced in teaching ESL, but then I wanted to get trained and wanted to teach English in the high school setting. So I was considering that, but since I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, I had to go and study for the state exams to show proof that I knew the content in English to teach in high schools, for high schools. So in the end, I ended up pursuing another route, but it doesn't matter. As long as you have a bachelor's degree in something, you're qualified to pursue the teaching credential, whether if you want to teach elementary school, which is a multiple subject credential, or the single subject credential, which is the one to pursue if you want to teach in the middle school or high school setting. However, we do encourage many of the students, if you already know what subject you would like to teach, really research the CSUs or the institutions you're planning to transfer to see if they have some form of an art education or an education major that will prepare you to teach that specific subject. If they don't worry too much about it. Pursue your bachelor's degree with the closest major you have in mind. But for example, here at CSULB, we have these different options of education majors, or some of the majors that a lot of the students are being prepared in order to go into the credential program later after they graduate. So for examples, we have art education. So it's a bachelor's of arts option in art education. We have a bachelor's degree in music education, English education as well. So it's a bachelor's in English option, English education. Math education is very common pathway here at Long Beach. Physical education. Out of all the hard sciences, we have biology education. That's there's no physics or anything else, but there's at least a biology option education. History is not considered officially an education major. However, it does follow a pathway into the teaching program. For a lot of students that want to teach social science in middle school, high school, our history program here at CSULB has the courses needed and even allow you to take the prerequisites for the single subject credential program here at Long Beach. So the key thing is doing your research, especially if you are planning to apply at multiple CSUs, for example. Not all CSUs are the same. So here at Long Beach, we have a lot of education options if you already know the subject you wish to teach in middle school or high school. So for example, I've met a lot of students. Actually today, I was talking to some students at Santiago Canyon College, and all of them were interested in teaching social science. So they wanted to get their single subject credential in social science, so to teach history, economics, government, all those classes in high school. So I was sharing with them that our history major here, they're going to transfer into our history major. And then through that history major, the advisors actually set them up on a pathway to prepare them to teach history and other topics in middle school and high school. So then actually a lot of us students here do a lot of the prerequisites for our single subject credential. They graduate, and then the next semester they complete the credential itself. So this is not, there's no history education in the CSU application, but knowing that information, that our bachelor's degree in history here at CSULB prepares students for the teaching credential itself. So again, the key thing is to always do your research, ask your advisors, especially a lot of the counselors are aware of the different options a lot of the CSUs or UCs have available if you're planning to be a teacher in the middle school or high school setting, and pursuing that route. If you're not sure what you would like to teach, you just know you eventually you want to teach in the middle school, high school setting, you're just not sure of the subject yet, you have time, just complete whatever bachelor's degree you are currently on the path on, because you could still become a middle school, high school teacher later as you pursue the teaching credential and meet the requirements in a different way. But if you know early on, pursue that route. There's no set education, but if you know early on, it's best to prepare yourself, because all of these type of bachelor's degree that focus on education, they're basically teaching you the content you're going to teach to the middle schoolers and high schoolers. So for example, math education is completely different from the regular mathematics bachelor's degree, because they're learning the math that they need to teach in middle school and high school. And then in the credential program, you learn how to teach that content. Okay, so we have those options here at CSULB. One that's not listed here because it's not part of this specific presentation is if you wanted to be an elementary school teacher, same idea. There's no specific bachelor's degree you have to pursue, but if you already know early on in your academic career you want to teach in an elementary school setting or considering special education, usually liberal studies is the most common route of a bachelor's degree in liberal studies to pursue and prepare yourself in that route. But in general, in the state of California, you just need a bachelor's degree in something and then pursue the teaching credential, which is the post-baccalaureate program done after completing your bachelor's degree. I'm just going to check the chat if there's any questions so far. If you have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat, and then I'll try my best to answer them either throughout the PowerPoint or towards the end. Here at CSULB, if you're planning to transfer over to us, we do have something new. It just started this semester. It's called the Equity and Education minor through our Department of Liberal Studies here at Long Beach. This minor allows any student outside of our liberal studies major considering a career in teaching to actually kind of get some experience. You have a chance to take a 3-unit fieldwork course if you're considering becoming an elementary school teacher, a middle school, a high school teacher, or a special education teacher. So for a lot of you interested in doing gain experience in the middle school, high school setting, when you transfer over to CSULB, you could add this minor, do the fieldwork in the single subject credential, which is the one that allows you to get your middle school, to teach in middle school and high school. And then you'll require to take these 2 courses. And then you have a long list of courses for section 3 that double count, most likely will double count for your major. So this minor, which is only 15 units long, allows a lot of students outside of liberal studies or not in education majors to get that hands-on experience, to see if that kind of career is really for them. So knowing that if you transfer to us in any major, if you're in psychology, child development, engineering, mathematics, or even math education or art education, you're able to also add on this minor as a transfer student just to get that fieldwork experience and a more deeper understanding of the field of education. So this is really new, it just officially started this fall semester. So it'll still be here for a lot of you as you're planning to transfer over to us in the next few semesters. So now some requirements to consider to get your teaching credential. So far I kind of talked about the bachelor's degree, making sure you have the transfer requirements for your major to Long Beach. If you already know ahead of time what you would like to teach, seeing if the universities offer an education option, or even just pursuing the degree in that area, just to get better acquainted of the content you're planning to teach. But now let's talk about the requirements just to get an actual teaching credential. So if you're planning to work in the state of California in a public school setting, they require an official teaching credential for you. So there's a few kinds. There's the multiple subject credential to teach elementary school, but the ones that to teach middle school, high school is the single subject teaching credential. So one of the requirements you have to meet is the basic skills requirement. There are multiple ways to meet this requirement. The purpose of this requirement is to show the state of California that you know basic reading, basic writing, basic math. In the past, a lot of students, the most common way students would do this was through the CBES. So I'm sure maybe some of you are familiar with the CBES, have heard about the CBES, probably have friends who were struggling to study for the CBES and it was coming up. That was one way, but in total, there's 8 different opportunities for you to satisfy this basic skills requirement. The CBES is one. The newer way, which is actually much more better, is coursework's evaluation. So a lot of students, even those transferring to CSULB, they're able to meet this basic skills requirement if they've taken a specific math, writing, or reading, which I think could be any current, your most highest level math or writing course, and that could satisfy this requirement. So coursework has become another pathway for students to check what they've taken already, and then they'll be informed by the advisor here at CSULB if that satisfies the basic skills requirements. Other options would be if you've taken the CSAT in the past, if you've taken back in high school the SATs or the ACTs or any of the AP exams with a specific score in mind, or if you're coming to us from another state, which is actually very common. We do get students from other states who already have their bachelor's degree come and get their teaching credential here in California, and they took the basic skills requirement for that specific state, and that might be another way to satisfy it here in California. So that's one requirement you have to consider. Usually most transfer students that come to CSULB, they're able to meet with our credential advisors here on campus through our TPAC office or the Teacher Preparation Advising Center once they're already officially matriculated to CSULB. And they're able to get their transcripts evaluated, and they'll be informed if their coursework, for example, satisfy the basic skills requirement. So before you even consider paying for the CBES, I suggest once you're here at CSULB to come to our advising centers open for everyone on campus, even those that aren't part of the credential program yet, and then talk to the advisor to see if your coursework can actually waive this requirement before you spend money and time on the actual exam. Another requirement you'll have to satisfy is subject matter competency. This means you're basically showing the state of California that you know the subject you're going to teach. So for example, if you're planning to teach math, 10th grade math, 11th grade math, or high school math, you're showing the state of California, I have the knowledge of the required math to teach these students. And there's different ways, again, to show proof of subject matter competency. So there's the CSET, which is another exam where students will sit down, study the content, take the exam, and then through passing those exams, showing the state they learn everything that's needed to be learned to teach that subject. Some students pursue a major in that area. That's why I encourage students, if you already know what you will want to teach, then pursue that bachelor's degree route, because most likely the coursework for those bachelor's degree would be evaluated and can satisfy this requirement as well. Or some people have a combination of coursework and the exam itself. Some students still have to take this exam if they're trying to add like one very common authorization that is added onto an actual teaching credential is a bilingual authorization. So if you speak Spanish, Mandarin, Korean, Chinese, or any other language, and you want to teach in a dual immersion classroom, with your credential, you need to get that authorization, and usually you have to take a certain section of this exam in Spanish or the language you're planning to be authorized to be able to teach in. But again, before you even commit into paying for the CSET exam, speak to, once you're here at Cal State Long Beach, talk to our advisors to see if the coursework you're going through, the major you're going through, will waive that before officially paying for the exam itself. Now, those that have to take the CSET, like for example, myself, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and human development. I have a master's in educational psychology. But if I wanted to go back and get my teaching credential in English, I don't have the content knowledge or the coursework in English. So I have no idea what kind of how to teach English or the kind of subject to teach in a middle school or high school. So then, for example, myself, if I wanted to become an English teacher, I will have to go back and get either do the CSET or try to go get another bachelor's degree or do another coursework. I would probably do the CSET route, just sit down, study all the information needed to pass that exam, which each CSET has different subject sections. And then I'll just try to pass it, which a lot of students that don't have a bachelor's degree in what they hope to study to teach will most likely have to do and take this route. There's some students who come to us who have engineering backgrounds, who have business backgrounds, and then they decide to become teachers. Some things they'll just have to take this route. But again, before you commit to this part, talk to the advisor to check your coursework first before considering paying for the CSET, because they are kind of expensive, and if you don't pass it one time, you have to pay for it again. So just keep that in mind. Again, all this information, just keep that in mind. There are different areas. So if you see here, the CSET is being, you could take it in agriculture, different languages, art, French, German, for example, the social science, if you want to be a history teacher, Spanish, if you want to teach mathematics, those who want to teach elementary school, there is a CSET in multiple subjects. So if the coursework doesn't satisfy the requirement, most likely you may have to take the CSET. But go and check with our advisors, or at any CSU that you end up transferring to, check with the advisors to see can your coursework satisfy that requirement before you invest in the CSET exam. Now, so far I've talked about different requirements for the state, and these are just the main ones. There's other different small ones that could be satisfied, like doing your TB tests, getting your fingerprints and everything. But these are the ones that most students want to know about, because if they have to study or prepare for them ahead of time and have to pay for it, it's best that you have this in mind now, so when it does come up, it won't be surprising to students. So there's the purpose of even this kind of workshops before you transfer over to us, is just to have in mind, these are kind of what expected for the state of California, things you have to meet if you want to be a teacher. So the more you know, the better prepared you are as you're going through your journey to become a teacher. Now, I want to focus now on the single subject credential. So the single subject credential program is what allows you to officially be credentialed and teach in the middle school and high school in that subject you were credentialed in. So like art, social science, mathematics, and so forth. So there's different kinds of credentials. The single subject, again, is the one that allows you to teach middle school, high school. It won't allow you to teach elementary school. So if you wanted to teach elementary school, kindergarten to 6th grade, you'll have to get the multiple subject credential. But if you're just focusing on just teaching middle school or high school, the single subject credential is the program you want to pursue. Again, it requires subject matter competency in the area you want to teach. It is a post-baccalaureate program, so you have to do it after you officially complete your bachelor's degree, and is usually completed within 3 to 4 semesters. The multiple subject credential program is also could be done after your after you complete your bachelor's degree. There is one specific major that allows you to get your bachelor's degree and the multiple subject credential at the same time, and that's liberal studies. But again, those are for the students that already know early on that's what they want to commit. But if you're not sure, all of these could be done after your bachelor's degree has been officially completed and given to you. Now, to get into the single subject for here at CSULB, I'm not sure how Fullerton, Dominguez Hills, Cal State Lehigh, how their credential programs look, but at least with us, it's a 45-unit course program, 1 semester of 15 units, 12 units of core courses, which is your methods courses that we call it. Those are the courses that teach you how to teach the content. And then your last semester usually is 18 units worth of student teaching. So if you're wanting to do this as a full-time student, you're able to complete this whole program in 3 semesters, 2 semesters of actual courses. And then your last semester, we place you at a middle school or high school in the area you're teaching to get that experience for that whole semester. You get a master teacher, you get a faculty supervisor, and then they help you also with the assessments you have to complete and submit to the state as well. But in total, a lot of students, if they can't do this full time, you have 7 years to complete it. A lot of students end up substitute teaching during the time of the program, only go part-time because they have a job and family and they're slowly getting everything done before officially doing the student teaching. So you, at least here with CSULB, you have up to 7 years to complete it, but the majority of students complete it within 3 semesters or even 4 if they took some part-time courses. Again, we have here at Cal State Long Beach these specific subject areas of approval. I think it's next, I want to say next academic year. So next fall, they're going to officially add dance as a subject area that you could get your credential in, and you'll be the dance teacher in the middle school and high school. I think now maybe anyone who has an art degree might be considered a dance teacher, or if you just have that experience, it might make you the dance teacher in that middle school or high school, but there will be an official dance subject here at CSULB that allows you to just focus on that, and then you could get your credential in teaching dance. But these are the current different areas, especially for the world languages. These are the current languages that you could focus on to be able to teach, like if you want to teach Spanish or Korean or Latin in the middle school or high school. If you want to teach one of the hard sciences like biology, chemistry, and so forth, you choose one. Or foundational level, which is kind of like a little bit of everything kind of that is done earlier in like middle school and early high school before they go into biology or chemistry and so forth. So as you go through the single subject credential program with us, you have to choose a specialty area, and that's what you will be credentialed in. So if you're credentialed to teach only math, you won't be able to teach officially science. But again, knowing how we are short on teachers, sometimes some teachers that aren't officially credentialed in something else but have some knowledge may be asked to teach that. So hopefully we'll get more teachers, so that won't be a problem. But here in the single subject, you'll be able to choose from these. And this is how it looks in 3 semesters if you're full-time. Again, all of this is done after you've completed your bachelor's degree. And here at Cal State Long Beach, these courses are usually offered in the evening time. So you have the day to work if you're working at a school, if you're working your day job, and then still be able to come in the evening time to complete the courses each semester. Except for student teaching. Student teaching is basically a full-time job where you're placed in the classroom for 16 weeks and are with the master teacher, and you're at some point, depending on the master teacher, teaching certain lessons or certain days with the master teacher just to get that field work experience before you officially graduate. Now, here at Long Beach, if you're already pursuing a bachelor's degree in one of those education bachelor's degree, a lot of those students actually take any of these courses in the first semester grid during their senior year. So actually, a lot of students that know they're going to come back and pursue their credential through Cal State Long Beach, they're able to take any of these, depending on how your schedule is open, and take the prerequisite course or any of the core requisite courses as an undergraduate student, which allows them ahead of time, like just to prepare everything, finish all of these prerequisites at a cheaper tuition price, and then they just have to worry about doing the methods courses in their student teaching the following academic year. So for these sections, the EDSS 300 here at Long Beach, there's like a section for each subject. So there's a version of this for our art credential students, our math credential students. So you'll be with this group of students that are teaching what you're hoping to teach in that same subject. You're not mixed, you're not in a room with different credential teachers, but you are in the same class with everyone is teaching math or everyone's teaching art or social science. And there are 45 hours of field work required for this specific course that allows you to get experience. So this is specifically done again after your bachelor's degree. Now, ways to get teaching experience now as you're finishing up your time at Rio Hondo, planning to transfer to CSULB and then eventually get into the credential, is working any part-time jobs, especially in the school districts. Right now, a lot of school districts are hiring teacher assistants, tutors. Once you have your bachelor's degree, you could apply for your substitute permit and get that experience while also pursuing the teaching credential program. A lot of the jobs are posted at either the school district employment websites or EdJoin. If hopefully a lot of you have heard of EdJoin. .gov is basically a great website where all the districts, I believe in the state of California, post all jobs they have available, from teaching jobs, which if you're not ready to pursue a teaching job right now because you don't have your credential, it gives you an idea of what they are asking for teachers, how much is their salary, what are the requirements for that, for some of the positions, for some of the districts. So it gives you an understanding of what they're looking for. But they also post part-time jobs, classified staff jobs. So a lot of people coming back to be teachers are current employees in the district that aren't working as teachers, but they're working in the administration office in the school, in the district, for example, as secretaries or something else, but they decided to become teachers, so they're now coming and getting credential. And a lot of the times the districts will pay for them to get their teaching credential. So actually working in the district may be of benefit for a lot of you, especially if you work full-time for them in another position, because there are scholarships and grants for those employees to get their teaching credential through those districts. And networking as well, just volunteer and network. I said network because if you're taking a course right now at Rio Hondo that requires some form of field work in the classroom, make sure you network with the teachers in that classroom. Ask them if in the future, if you need to find another location to do your field work for another class, can you come back to them later in the future? Because it does get kind of tricky sometimes to find a classroom to do maybe 10 hours of field work for a class. But if you already have a good rapport with someone you've done your hours in the past, or have friends that are teachers, or have friends whose parents are teachers, then utilizing that network will help you just to get that experience, be able to be in the classroom where you have to place yourself, and then learning about just the job more personally. So I always encourage students to network, and those who are part of the CPTP, you have the great opportunity to actually network with the teachers and doing field work and everything. Is there a question? If I do the route of liberal arts, can you specify, is that liberal studies or liberal arts, like in the major of psychology? Which I think I could answer. Okay, liberal studies, yeah. Liberal studies is a whole different presentation, but here at Cal State Long Beach, our liberal studies students have the opportunity to complete the bachelor's degree, which is in total 120 units. So any of the bachelor's degree at Long Beach is you need to complete 120 units. Half of them are already done at the community college. And it takes about 135, so about 15 units more to complete the credential as an undergraduate with us. So then, because a lot of the liberal study courses are already preparing you for the methods courses, so you just need 15 more units or so to graduate with your bachelor's degree in liberal studies and the multiple subject credential as well. But that's only something for liberal studies. To do single subject, unfortunately, here at Long Beach, there's no integrated pathway for that. You just have to complete your bachelor's degree, graduate, reapply to the university by June 1st of that year to start in the fall, which is 45 units for the single subject program. Okay. No, you're just getting your bachelor's degree and credential. If you're planning to do, we don't have a combined master's credential here at Cal State Long Beach. I know some other CSUs have that, but here we don't have an official combined teaching credential and master's degree program. There is other pathways through our master's where some of our master's degree in education allow you to bring over a certain amount of units from your credential program, and then you just finish up the master's quicker, but there's no official combined as of now. Hopefully in the future, by the time it's your opportunity to do so, we'll have something. But I know like Fullerton has that opportunity. And that's the thing where each CSU is so different. So I advise everyone to really just do your research as to who offers what, because everyone has different forms of pathways, master's, credential, combined, and so forth. I think I saw another thing there, but I think I'll answer the rest of the questions after I finish my next 2 or 3 slides. So substitute teaching during your credential program. So once you have your bachelor's degree in anything, your bachelor's of arts or science and whatever you were pursuing, you could apply for a substitute permit and be able to get paid and get experience to be a substitute in a lot of the districts. And a lot of current credential students that already have their bachelor's degree and are just finishing up their time in the credential program, they get their substitute permit so that they could get that experience, get paid. And when they're student teaching, they have the opportunity also if their teacher is unable to attend that day, they're sick or something, since that student teacher has their substitute permit, they could be the sub for that time. So you're getting still your experience and getting paid. So a lot of students pursue that. So there's 2 different ways to do this. And here at Long Beach, we have workshops on how to complete your substitute permit for those that need it, because it is kind of not complex, just tedious. It requires that you gather your information and submit it either through the state of California or through that specific school district you're hoping to substitute teach. Now, some resources here at Cal State Long Beach as you hope to transfer over to us. We do have a lot of the similar services that you have at Rio Hondo. So if you utilize the services of your food pantry over there, we have a beach pantry, we have a Dream Success Center, we have Guardian Scholars. If you utilize the services of the disabilities office on campus, we have that here through our Bob Murphy Access Center as well. We do have a child development center on campus where a lot of students, staff, and community members are able to send their kids there, and they actually always offer a lot of part-time jobs for current students. So a lot of our students here in the College of Education, or anyone who's interested in working with children, have a chance to work on campus with the Child Development Center as well. They're usually off by the north side of our campus. So it's a great opportunity for a lot of students considering working with children to get paid, work with children, and still be on campus. So you can still go to your classes and so forth. So these are just like 1/5, like a short glimpse of a long list of different support services. So once you apply to our university and then you were given conditional admission, you'll be asked to sign up for student orientation. or we call it SOAR. So those starting in the fall semester, you'll do it during the summertime, and that's when you first meet your advisors, but you also come across and meet all the different services on campus that are available for all students as well. If you're planning to do spring transfer, they do SOAR towards the end of December or January before the spring semester starts. Some other College of Education resources. So if you come to us as a post-bac credential student, later when you're just focusing on your teaching credential, we do have specific scholarships available for students pursuing their credential. We also have a teacher resource center on our building, just if you need printing, because there are other student organizations on campus or resources that allow you to print for free through them if you're part of them, but you also have a chance to do so here. We have prep guides if you have to take any of these exams, the CBEST, the CSET, the RECA, and so forth. And again, once you're a student here at CSULB, you could start talking to our advisors here about the credentials, but then if you're already a student here in any of the bachelor's degree, any of the majors on campus, and want to start learning about, can I start taking any of these credential courses early on, or the prerequisites courses, or do I need to take the CBEST? Can my coursework satisfy that requirement? You could officially start meeting with the advisor so they could evaluate your transcript once you're a CSULB student here with us. So I'll share this PowerPoint with your counselor so that she could share it with all of you later. And of course, if you have any questions, I also have student ambassadors that are current students here on campus. If you just want to learn more about the campus resources, they're all liberal studies students. We had a student going through the single subject credential program that was a student ambassador, but now he's substitute teaching more hours at, I think, one of the schools in LA Unified before he starts his student teaching next semester. But if you have any questions about student life or anything, you can meet with them. You could set up a virtual appointment with them through clicking this link, and then they'll meet with you and try their best to answer any questions. So that's the end of my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing and look at the chat just to answer anything there that I could. And if you have any other questions, you can raise your hand or add them in the chat.